As the UPSC Prelims examination is fast approaching, I can see a lot of aspirants shifting their gaze towards the Prelims examination. As a part of your preparation, you must be making many strategies. Also, you would have some doubts. For example, this is one, whether to give more importance to static or current. This is in the minds of many aspirants. So, in the next few minutes, we will be discussing some details regarding the static part and current part, and then come to a conclusion how to go ahead in the preparation. So, first, come to the static part. Okay, what are the advantages with the static part of the syllabus? So, if you clearly see all the PYQs, almost 70 to 80 questions are coming from the static part itself. Only in some years like 2016 where there were around 30 current affair questions, but mostly in majority of the years static is very dominant. So giving importance to it is a wise decision. Also, syllabus have boundary. Okay, while reading the static, you can see that it has some boundaries. Only if you complete the NCERTs or standard books, then that is okay. See, everyone would not be reading everything under the sun. So definitely what you read, you can consolidate, you can revise and plan accordingly. So you can say that in a way, when compared to the current affairs, it has boundary. Now, there is an assurance from the books as well. Okay, for example, if you read Lakshmikant for the static portion of prelims, then certainly nearly 10 to 15 questions would come and you would be able to attempt them rightly. Okay, that is the reason if you rely on the standard books, revise them well and apply them well in the examination, then there is some sort of assurance that this static portion will help you clear the examination. Now, this is one interesting aspect that I have heard from some students that if they are beginners or if they are not giving this attempt or not sure of giving the attempt, then they would go for static, because static is something which would not change much for the next year also, right? The current affairs, definitely if you have read, for example, every day for 5 hours you have read for almost 5 hours the current affairs, then that thing is certainly not going to work for the next examination, I mean next year. So that is the reason, if you are not sure of attempting that year's examination, then if you, even if you are sure also, if you attempt the examination, then by unfortunately if you have not cleared the examination, prelims examination that year, then definitely that knowledge which you have used, that will be used for the next year prelims examination also, next year cycle also, right? So that is one important thing with static, it will be with you for a longer period of time. Now coming to other advantages of the static, it is that, okay, while you are preparing for the UPSC examination, it is certain that most of us would be having a plan B. So as a part of that, we would be giving a lot of other examinations which are conducted by UPSC like CDS, CAPF and others, and also the state examination. Now, the current affairs which we have read for UPSC might not be helpful in this examination, but surely and certainly these can be used for the state examinations. Most of the information is used. For example, if you have read some Lakshmikant or Spectrum or Shankar for environment, then these books from a lower standard, they can be asked in the state examination, and from in the UPSC examination they can be asked at a higher level, but the information, the knowledge would be around similar. So this static knowledge will be helpful in state examinations also. That is the reason we need to give more importance to the static. Now, this is one thing. Current affairs, sometimes students unduly give so much time to the current affairs, that will be sometimes very dangerous. So that is the reason I have seen some students, instead of giving too much importance to current affairs, then they complete the static books. The time which others are investing in the current affairs, they are using this for the revision. So this is where 70 to 80 questions come, right? So that is the reason we need to invest more time for revision of the static also, when compared to revision of the current affairs or reading so many magazines or so. Okay, this is one aspect. And other thing is that you can notice that these days the cutoffs are less than 100 for 200 marks. In that scenario, if you are having a time crunch, or if you want to plan smartly, then you would target the area where almost 70 questions are coming, right? So in this scenario, to somehow sail through the prelims cutoffs, static will be of very great help. Okay, also, sorry, these days some toppers have also tested and proved that relying heavily on the static have given them fruitful results. So they have cleared the prelims examination by relying so much on the static subject, static portion. Okay, so with all these things, we can say that okay, static is something which will help us predominantly in the prelims examination. Now let us see what is the thing, what is the story of current. So after discussing the above points, it doesn't mean that we have to ignore the current part, because current affairs too has its own pros and advantages. Okay, now the thing is that sure, it is that the questions are around 15 to 20 only. Okay, but don't you think that even in the static portion also there might be some questions which are linked to the current affairs and asked as questions? Sure. So in polity or in economy, both it can be a mix of the static and current. In that case, you would lose out if you do not prepare at all for the current affairs. Okay, so 15 to 20 questions are coming, and many questions are coming with linked to the current affairs. Okay, other thing is that the cutoffs these days are very close. You ask someone, a senior, who has lost the prelims cutoff by 1 mark or point mark, the story will be very heartbreaking. So, in such a scenario where the competition for every single mark is neck to neck, can you ignore the current affairs, which is asked almost 15 to 20 questions are coming? So, how can you ignore that when the competition is so high and we are fighting for every single mark? Okay, in that situation, whatever comes, we have to read. So, be it current affairs also, we have to read. Okay, now the third thing is that, okay, consider UPSC may throw a sudden surprise to you, okay, and ask around 30 to 35 questions as in 2016. So predominantly current affairs also can come, and if in this static portion, if the questions are very difficult, and in the current, if they are easy from the headlines itself, then don't you think that it will be a risky game to play, ignoring the current affairs? Okay, so this way also, if UPSC throws some surprise at you by including lot of current affairs, then you would be gone for sure. So that is the reason we need to focus on the current affairs also. Now, you would not be preparing for this exam just for the sake of clearing the prelims, right? You also want to clear the mains. So for value addition of the mains, don't you think current affairs are very important? For example, the reports, indices, data points, factual content, some species in news, whatever, all these things can be used as a value addition, some backing for the points in the answers in the mains examination. So someone who has read for prelims the current affairs will easily apply them in the mains answers also, thereby getting some advantage over the other normal aspirants. So current affairs helps in prelims and mains as well. Okay, next, coming to other aspects, actually some of the students have reported these wonderful thing about the current affairs, that current affairs are very interesting to read and revise. See, sometimes the static becomes utter boring to read and remember a lot of stuff. In such a situation, sorry, in such a situation, the current affairs these days are being presented with good videos. A lot of shots are there using social media, and lot of things are there, right? So it would be easy to read and remember the current affairs compared to some static subject. For example, say like history. Okay. Also, during the preparation phase, if you are updated with the current affairs, it feels so empowering. That makes you feel that you are an administrator. You are a part of government. So that is the reason current affairs will give you that extra morale and confidence during the preparation phase, and then that can be included in the prelims examination also. So this confident preparation with a good updation with current affairs will have an edge compared to those who are preparing with dull, stressful and anxious mode. Okay, this is one thing. And other thing is that the current affairs would be useful in the interview as well. So if someone of your friends or someone has gone to interview, ask them that most of their interview would be revolving around the current affairs. So if you are not in touch with the current affairs of that year or that period, you would be felt excluded or disconnected from the happenings. So some those who argue for current affairs, they say that you need to clear this exam holistically. So that is the reason you need current affairs in your preliminary stage, main stage and interview stage. So that is the reason current affairs are important. Now let us come to, we have seen the arguments on both sides. Some say that okay, static is so and so, you need to read, and current is so and so, you need to read. Now what you need to do is, so this is a suggestion, you can apply it accordingly, uniquely for you. So here are 5 golden rules to balance static and current affair preparation. So firstly, it is maintain a 75 is to 25 ratio. Okay, which means that if you are spending 10 hours on your study table, so give almost 7 to 7.5 hours for static portion, because there are numerous subjects, right? And 25 percentage of your time can be given to current affairs. So without ignoring much, you can give almost 20 to 25%. Okay, so this is a normal, so you can adjust it accordingly a little with minor modification. Now other thing is that 1 plus 1 formula. What does this mean? It means you have to rely on one good newspaper like the Hindu or Indian Express or Hindustan Times, whatever suits you better. One thing, and then one good magazine of any good institution X. Okay. So other than this, it becomes over redundancy. You see, current affairs are there everywhere, so everyone would be dumping their own things in the current affairs. So you need to be very cautious in picking up the right newspaper and right magazine. So if you choose the right magazine and right newspaper, then only the questions in the examination can get right. Okay, now come to A to A priority. What does this mean? Friends, you know, most of you would be hearing this thing that almost 1 to 1.5 years of current affairs are important for this examination. Okay, but some of you might not be able to read all those things. So I have seen this thing from the previous year current affairs from August to April. The current affairs are very important. Okay, so don't miss out on this. At least if you can't read 2 years, 1.5 year, or 1 year ka current affairs, just try to read from August to April of the preceding year's current affairs. Now other thing is that also go for the current affairs only after a decent command over the static subject. Okay, don't solely rely on the current and ignore the static, and then prepare accordingly. So firstly, static is very important to prepare. So only after that then you can go for the current. First finishing the current and then getting stressed with the static is not advisable. Okay, also keep analyzing the PYQs. So the PYQs will tell you what is the right mixture, right balance of the questions that are coming, of the time that you need to spend, and plan accordingly. Okay, so if you follow these 5 golden rules, if you integrate them into your study routine, then definitely both static and current, whatever the questions are coming in the examination, you would be easily doing them. Okay, so that's it